when phones come along and shake things up, people don't like that. All right, guys, welcome back to another video of Shaman J. So, the hotness right now, let's just be clear. It is this device right here. I've brought you a lot of videos on it. It is the Pixel 6a. And this is just what's happening right now. This is just how it works. And so I wanted to talk to you guys about it, and not so much just praise the device or belittle the device. But more importantly, this is simply just to bring awareness to the device, because in a little bit, in a short period of time, let me get closer here. In a short period of time, people are going to stop talking about this device because the two big brothers are going to come. And when I say they're going to stop talking about it, that doesn't mean they're just going to write it all the way off. I'm saying they're possibly going to be so engulfed in what the 7 Pro and the 7 have to offer. They might, this happens all the time. When you've got something that's overshadowing something, it's no surprise that when something in the same family comes forward and it's the same thing but a lot better in some ways, people tend to forget. And so I wanted to come to you today and talk about some reasons why this device is relevant. And I've discussed and I've gone over a ton of things about this device so far, only having it just a little over 2 weeks. And it's making you can tell when something's really good and people are intrigued by it because they tend to gravitate to it. And I'm not just saying tech enthusiasts I just think people in general, when something's good, you gravitate to it and you're really engaged in it and you really like it. So some things that make this device just such a beautiful device is the hardware. Now, Google had a lot of things they could have done here. They could have stuck to the 5A's design. They could have said, hey, we'll give it the Tensor chip, but we're going to keep this old design because we want to separate it from what we have coming. And we want to separate it from these other devices that have just a tad bit more, that cost more. We really want this to really appear as though it is just a lowered end version of these devices or in a completely different category, but they didn't have to. They didn't do that. They chose to give it the same hardware, literally the same hardware. And I think that just speaks volumes for what Google is willing to do to make their footprint and plant the seed that they want to plant in the tech community, in the tech world, and all the people that are outside the tech world to grab them. And I think this just speaks volumes for what this company can do and how they're going to sustain this. It's just going to be easy. They're going to keep that price much lower than the other versions of this device right here. But the hardware right here speaks volumes to me because I've spoken of this in a lot of different videos and online, and not just videos, in conversations. I think that Google is doing it right by upgrading the people that don't pay a lot, that don't pay as much, because this is a lot. $450 is a lot for a device. For a lot of people, $450 is a lot for a device. I'm not ignorant to the fact that I know people just don't upgrade every year, or people just, they have $450 laying around. Not everybody's willing to do that. I'm happy that Google is making this mark by releasing a device that looks exactly like their super powered versions, if you will, the ones that they're going to cost a heck of a lot more. I think Google is on the right path. This design, though, is going to have to change at some point or another when it comes in terms of longevity. As we saw before with the other previous generation, the phones that have been replaced by this, it lasted maybe 2 rotations. And so that means that we might see a 7A with the body of the 7 versions of the device, which is pretty much this, though. So I think they're going to have to evolve into something else, and they're going to have to do something different with the design. This design, to me, speaks volumes because it has the same internals as the flagship devices. It pretty much is a flagship device in a compact body. There's so many people that are naive out there that think that otherwise, and I just laugh at it because I think that it's funny how other companies like Samsung, LG, Motorola, Apple, they all have a small device and it has the same internals. Just because you're not calling it, you don't feel you want to name it a flagship. And to be clear here, I don't promote these terminologies. This is what the tech enthusiasts in the tech world talk about. I'm saying this is just a small, compact, powerful version of the same devices. This is the Pixel 6 in a small form factor. Some people are still in a little, they get a little heated to hear that. I think a lot of them might just feel played, like, oh shoot, I could have just waited and got the Tensor chip for $200-300 less. Some people probably feel like that deep down inside. They may not say it, but I think I probably would if I, if I'd have spent $900 on the Pixel 6 Pro and then thought, okay, yeah, so it took away a few things, but also I'm getting the same type of performance, if not better in some situations. I feel played for a little bit. Some people just are afraid to say what they really feel though. But that conversation for flagship, to me, folks, basically, it is a powerful device that embodies the same thing that the big boys or current flagships that Google has to offer. And I just find it comical that people just don't want to accept this. I really do. I think it's hilarious that people just refuse to accept this. They get furious. So that is a part of the hardware, which is why I touched on that. You're getting a lot of power here for the price. And I mean, just not to mention the way it looks. Obviously, people look at the way it looks first, but that's what's going to grab you. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think this hardware matched with this price and all the internals and everything, it's a total win. It's a total win. But someone's going to come along, and it may even be Google, who decides to bring out some real heat on the next rotation of the A series. I think their A series is one of the best A series that I've ever experienced. Because you have the Samsung A series, which was just dominating, but just not in the US, but it was dominating across the boards. And I'm hoping that Google can do the same thing with their A line. So the hardware is something that I think is extremely important to a lot of people. And I think you'll probably enjoy this hardware if you decide to pick it up. It's just one of those things that, when you get it and you touch it, you feel it, you're gonna be like, whoa, this thing is clean and it's nice and compact. Even inside of a case, you'll be able to determine that you like the size or you hate the size. Now, just to be fair here, 6.1 inch screen, this isn't a small device by any means. I just happen to I can make anything look small. Like my hands are ginormous. So, I all these devices, my S21 Ultra probably looks small in my hands. So the iPhone 13 Pro Max probably looks small in my hands. And so, I live with that. But I got to tell you, the hardware is extremely impressive. Now, some reasons why a person might want to skip this device for the hardware, it could be that, it's slippery and you're a person who doesn't wear cases. And believe me, folks, there are people out there who do not wear cases on their devices. I see it all the time. And those people are not wrong. They just choose to feel the device as for what it is. And I too am one of those people who don't like to wear cases. I don't like to cover up my beautiful devices, I just like to feel the device. And the cases that I try to promote sometimes are the form-fitting factory style cases. And Google does have one for this device, but it actually makes the phone feel a little bit bigger, but not too big. I really like the official Google cases. They are absolutely crazy. They're sick. I love them. And that's the case that I'm always going to recommend because OEMs have stepped their games up with their cases. So a reason that a person might decide, hey, I'm going to skip that phone. They might say also it's too big because remember, 6.1 inch screen in this body right here. This is a big device. It's not like it's a small device. I see a lot of people that they comment on the videos and they're like, dang, Jay, that phone is huge in my hands. You make it look so small. So that might be something that people might think about. They might say, you know what? I don't like the hardware. It's way too big. But I want a Google device. You know what I'm going to say? The next thing you can do is go to the Pixel 3a or the Pixel 4a. Those are some beautifully put together devices, a little bit more compact. They feel different in the hand, more rounded. They might be more along your liking. You know what I mean? So I think another area obviously is going to be the cameras. some people, we're living in a social media age where people really enjoy taking photos of themselves. They enjoy it. They just can't help it. And believe it or not, I'm not really a selfie type person. I don't even like taking photos, believe it or not. People in my family, like my wife really can attest to this. She's like, oh, get in the phone. I'm like, I'm taking no photos. I'm just not a photo person of myself. I don't like taking photos. I don't like to be in pictures for some reason. I just don't. But when I'm on social media, you probably can't tell. You might see me posting pictures of myself to test cameras, but just keep in mind, that's exactly what I'm doing. If you see me on a photo, it's just me testing the device, because I really don't like to take photos of myself. But I would definitely say that the cameras on here are top tier. Bars, didn't try to do that. The cameras on here are top tier, and they are the cameras from the Pixel 6. And so you know they're going to be great. But then you start to look at the price and you think, wow, they're no longer great. They're phenomenal for the price. There's a lot of devices out there that can shoot 4K video, and they can shoot all these different modes. And the Pixel 6a is one of them. There's a lot of devices in this price range that cannot shoot in 4K, and they're limited to 1080p on the front and rear. And that's something that's a trade-off that some people make, but Google did the right thing, man. The Tensor chip can definitely handle 4K 30, 4K 60. But what's a trade-off to the cameras? Well, some people might say, well, I want, now this is stretching. I mean, I'm reaching right here. That's what it's called. I'm reaching. Some people might say, well, I want 4K on the front. I want to vlog with the front camera so I can have a viewfinder. And I get it. That's me. I'm one of those people who I would love to have 4K on the front. Some people might say, well, I want a telephoto lens. Well, those are some trade-offs. Those are things that people might not like about the camera. Some people might say, I don't like the portrait mode. I don't like, there's going to always be something, but I think a trade-off, like a physical trade-off, is that things that just aren't going to happen on this device. No 4K recording on the front and no telephoto lens. Now you do have digital zoom, but I'm nitpicking with this, but some people might need those things. And so they might say, you know what, I got to go to this device because it has a telephoto lens, or I got to go to this device because it has, I got to spend a little bit more money to get what I want. So there's going to be people who are not impressed. And some people might say, Jay, I don't like the quality. Now those are very few and far between. People are going to say this. I get it. The Pixel 6a has the Pixel 6 cameras, and folks, they're phenomenal. So, but again, it's not for everybody. Now, not everyone's going to want that type of quality. They're going to say, I don't like it. I like this better. And that's just what it is. So cameras are extremely impressive, and I think tons of people will love them. But I also believe that there'll be a few people out there who just don't like the quality and they prefer something else. So another area that I think is important is the performance of the device. Now, I spoke about our hardware earlier. So when I talk about performance, I'm not talking about benchmarks, gaming, all these different things. I'm talking about day-to-day. How is the device doing? Is it failing you? Did it shut off on you? Things like that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about benchmarks and things like that. But I know those are important to a lot of people. And so we have to address those things as they come. The fact of the matter is the Tensor chip is a phenomenal chip, and it performs very well under load. I've actually done a lot of gaming with it, but my types of games aren't your types of games. I'm not a gamer, so the games I'm playing may have a little bit of a graphic intensiveness to it, but it's just how long I'm playing it. And I've been on this device before, and I've played for easily an hour straight on whatever game. I'll show you the game. And this isn't to promote the game. This is just a game that I'm currently playing when I want to kill time. And here it is right here. That's the game that I'm playing when I want to kill time. And it's a phenomenal game to kill time with. I mean, for me, it is. It's cool. I get it. Everybody plays different games, trying to push the processor, but I'm not that person. The game is just a game where you try to figure your way through different levels, and it's nothing fancy. But I've played this game, for hours before. Like, I didn't even know it. Like, you know, when you're doing something, you don't even know. And I ended up playing the game for an hour and 20 minutes. And the area that got warm was about right here. That's pretty much it. That's where it got warm at, and that's where it stops. That's just it. No problems with it. I didn't even notice it because I'm so into the game or whatever. But for me, performance is not just that. Like, it's not crashing on me. I mean, because again, every creator or content creator or a person looking to test performance has their own way of testing the performance. And so that is my way of testing the performance, by just using it. I don't set any limits on myself. And I think this device clearly is a win when it comes to performance. Now, I don't know what Google, I don't know. I think personally Google did some tweaking to the Tensor chip, and this is based off of my experience. I think they did some serious tweaking for this, because how is it that this device is so much better? I don't have any crashes. And could it be the Android updates? Who knows? I don't know. But I seriously believe that before releasing this device, they did some extensive testing with the Tensor chip. They pulled some things out. They added some things to it. They made sure it was smooth. And overall, I'm having a phenomenal experience with the Tensor chip this time around for performance. 6 gigs of RAM is no problem for this because it's stock Android. And so, you know, it's just a freebie. You know, there's no bloatware on it. It's just a gimme. It's just, here's the apps, and play them and use them as you will. Now, what's a trade-off to that? I think a trade-off would be performance-wise. Some people might want to do heavy gaming or games that just aren't realistic for phones. I think and that's what I've seen. Some people might be playing some games and they're testing the heat of the phone, and it's getting so hot. But the Tensor chip obviously can handle it. But honestly, I don't think I know of any trade-offs with performance. I wish that Google would, because some people are going to say, oh, it needs 8 gigs of RAM. Well, I'll ask those people why. Why, if you don't have the device, why do you think it needs 8 gigs of RAM? And I think that's a lot of the conversations that I've come across where people don't even have the phone, and they're telling me it should have gotten 8 gigs of RAM. It should have gotten 10 gigs of RAM. Like, but why though, son? What, you don't even have it? So, you know, and this was before it actually launched. I got a lot of this, and I thought, you're not even using it. And so, stock Android from Google with 6 gigs of RAM is flawless. It was flawless on the other devices. You know what I mean? So it's not much different. So as far as performance goes, I don't see any trade-offs right now. I'm trying to really reach and think of something that's going to be against it. But honestly, I can't at this very moment, because the performance on here is so good. It's so good. Now, another area is a win for me. I think for a lot of people, I kind of touched on it at the beginning, was the price. $450. I've got phones that definitely are less, and they do some things better. I'm a fair person when it comes to something being better than something, even if I like it or don't like it. I try to be as neutral across the board as possible. But I didn't have the A53 long enough to compare it to this. That was a plan, because the A53 was just, it was so bad. The software experience and the performance was so bad. It was trash. And that's just what it was. It doesn't compare to this. And I've seen so many people recommending the A53 because it costs the same. And at one point it was $100 off. $450 for the A53 is a joke. From a person who bought it, I bought it and I started to use it. And within 7 days, I got nothing better from it. It was just a laggy, stuttery, slow in every freaking way. So please don't compare, because some people do price and do comparisons, and that's why a lot of people feel like they can't use the terminology flagship when talking about this device. They think that's why that people shouldn't use that terminology, but it's about what's inside. And what it looks like on the outside, great, it's phenomenal looking, but what does it look like on the inside? And that is why I stand firm on that. And the A53 series, it was just trash. So then let's move up a little bit, Jay. Get off the A series. That's a fair comparison. A53 versus this wins on its worst day. But this can compete with the S22 lineup because it's got the same as think of this as the Galaxy S22 for Samsung, or the iPhone 13 for Apple. You see what I'm saying? That's why I don't understand people's logic and what they're trying to get across. I think they're just mad for some reason at Google. Google gets a lot of hate when they release devices. It just takes one or two people to get online and start this stupid narratives or these fake narratives and give out the wrong information, and people blindly follow them. And so, yeah, again, I tell people all the time, do your own research. Don't be such a fan sometimes. Do your own research. You gotta think for yourself. And that's just how that works. But, you know, I truly believe that the price of the device also shouldn't determine whether it's great or not. It should trickle down back to that. You should be getting so many other great things from a device, and you realize, oh snap, man, this thing only costs this compared to this. That is what really should be happening. But in turn, it's done in reverse. People start with the price, and then they start saying, you know, why you shouldn't get it, and they only have a few things that they could possibly point out. But in reality, this device is fire, folks. Is so good for $450. Now, to be clear here, I could go on and pick out a lot of things about this that are fantastic, like an IP rating, you know, the Bluetooth rating. The Wi-Fi signal is phenomenal. The network on this, with the antennas in here, are great depending on the carrier. It's just a whole bunch. Battery life, the screens on here. That's one thing. The last thing I want to touch on is the 60 hertz display. The only reason this is a conversation is because a few people got online and made it a conversation. Like, people don't bring up the iPhone 13 60 hertz display as much as they should. You know, Apple's been doing, and the bad part is Apple's been playing people on their phones for the last 7 years, pretty much nitpicking and changing small things and reusing the same stuff and bringing it back out as a different device. People talk about it, but they don't hammer on it like they do Google for certain things. For some reason, this is just my observation based on what's in my comment section. I don't scour the internet looking at other people's conversations, trying to figure out what everybody else is talking about. I stay in my lane and I read what's in my comment section. Now, often I do watch other creators and I do peek in their conversations and their comments, but I try to avoid getting too engulfed in that. But with the screen situation, I've demoed this time and time again, and I only touched on this because you wanted me to. There was so many people. When I say you, I'm not talking about just you, everybody watching. I'm talking about the people who sincerely wore me out in the comment section, talking about what somebody else said. Oh, it doesn't have a 120 hertz display, so it's trash. It doesn't have this. They should have done this. They should have done this. All of you clowns, let me stop. All of you people out there who kept doing that, you were doing it when the device wasn't even out yet and you didn't have it. And you've been programmed already to believe that this display is so bad, you cannot get it in your head that it's good. And you've listened, you blindly followed the people, you know what I mean? And you follow them and they told you, somebody else told you what to say. They told you what to think. You can get, if you're easily offended, go ahead and exit, but I'm telling you what it is because this is what I've seen on my own, in my own comment section. Somebody's telling you what to think. Somebody's telling you what to say. They're leading you down a path that you don't have to go down. To say that this display is trash compared to the iPhone 13 is a joke. To say that this display should have gotten 120 hertz is a joke to me. I think the only time things are relevant or people bring things to the surface is because somebody else said it, and that is a fact, folks. I'm just loading up a video here because I truly believe that when people start to see things online, it's solely because somebody else said it. And it just irks me so bad when I see people doing this. To me, this display is absolutely great. It's beautiful. No problems whatsoever with this display. To say that the 60 hertz display on the iPhone 13 is better, it's just a joke. Those are just people who are biased to Apple, and they just won't just come out and say I'm biased to Apple. They won't do it. They can't do it. They simply just have to flood Android comments or people who like Android products or something's really good on the Android. And when you think about this now, the 60 hertz display on the Apple iPhone 13 is an $800 display. Like price, I'm saying, starts at $800. And if you do like I did, you buy 512, you're at about 1200. So a display like this is only a $450 display. So it's inferior. I think that's one of the biggest jokes that I've heard on the internet just lately, because we go in waves about when something's good and when it's not good. We go in these huge waves, and I think it's just comical at best to hear these types of things. And it's always coming from somebody who doesn't have all the devices that creators have. They might have one of them and don't have the other, and they're biased one way, and they just can't think for themselves. And it's a lot of comments like, oh, bought it, returned it, hated it, it was trash. I went back to my iPhone. I don't even believe you. I don't believe you. I'm just telling you, I don't believe you. I think it's a joke. I think it's just a way to try to make it seem like Apple is so great. I mean, and you're talking to someone who enjoys Apple products. So I think it's a joke. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm one of the most neutral creators on YouTube. I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm not saying I'm the only one. I'm saying I know how to ride the wave and keep integrity in reviews, because it takes integrity to do reviews. You have to be objective, as like 99.999% of your stuff is supposed to be objective. You can have some subjective things. Some things are just subjective, but you've got to be able to do a review of a product and be neutral in it. You can't flip flop and because you're getting paid and say that it's so great all the time. Something is going to fail. When it comes to people comparing iOS and Android, I just think the people who say, oh, you shouldn't compare them. No. You're saying that because the one that you like is lacking. And most of the time it's on the Apple side. Like, for real. Android products, you could load them. I could do this right here. This destroys a lot of Apple products. Just pulling that pen out destroys. This is the joys of Android. Okay, we have the Apple Pen. What did Steve Jobs say about that a long time ago? Oh, who needs a stylus? Apple had to cave to that because they realized we're missing out on the opportunity. But then when they do it, they try to say it's the best in the world, and it's not. I can't carry it inside the device. It's not the best. So on this Google thing on the way out, there's a lot about the device that some people also might want to pass on for, like it not having a headphone jack. And something as simple, I got a video of this coming out, but I've had this for some time. You have to buy a charging brick. This has got to be the stupidest. And unfortunately, Google fell victim to this nonsense. You're cheating us. Put it back in the case. Shout out to Tudia. One of the most beautiful cases. This is Tudia's. You need to stick with this lineup right here, Tudia. I'm just saying. One of the stupidest things, and this is a reason to pass on the device, if I'm being honest, because there are so many other devices out there that come with a freaking charger. Like Google, come on, man. Are you serious right now? Why are you doing this? You're not making the environment any better, just like those clowns who originally talking about we're making the environment safer by taking it. That's the stupidest thing I've ever freaking heard. It's dumb. A freaking charger in the box is what you need. This is just a money grab by anyone who does this. I don't care who you are. It's a freaking money grab, and it's wrong. How can you take a person who doesn't have it? What do? They have to physically go out and buy something that has Type-C to charge, and that is wrong. That reason alone is a reason that some people probably will. Where's my charger in the box? You don't get one. You got to buy one. Screw that. I'm not paying extra money to something. Some people will do that. Not having a headphone jack is a reason that some people might pass on it. Some people might pass on it because they tried the first time trying Android. It's a number of reasons. Some people might say the battery is bad. It's way too many reasons to say why a person might pass. But physically on here, there is no headphone jack, and there's no charger in the box. And I'm reaching, but those are good reaches right there. Those are things that are physically happening with this device that should not happen. Like the headphone jack. Okay, I'm over the headphone jack, but the charging brick, like that's the craziest thing that this industry has moved to. And they want people to buy chargers. I have never purchased a charger for a phone. All the ones that I got them some kind of sponsorship or something like that. Something has happened. Or, I'm so far in, I've got a lot of Type-C stuff, which is why I wouldn't do it. But if I was a consumer who would never, and I don't have any Type-C stuff, I'll be forced to buy one. And that is a turnoff with a device. So, it's your man Jay. The Google Pixel 6a is in fact shaking it up. I said it in my last video. I think I did it yesterday. I don't know when I did it, but when phones come along and shake things up, people don't like that. It's people right now mad because this device is getting so much attention. You know what? I love it. I love it. I love you, all those people out there who are hating right now. If you're hating on the Pixel 6a, and when I say hating, I mean you're just frivolously throwing stuff out there. You don't even have the phone. You're just throwing stuff out there just to throw it out there. You're hating. You're a hater, and you probably always will be, of anything that is not on the brand that you like if it's not Google. Probably just how it works. So what are some reasons why you would actually pass on the Pixel 6a, and some reasons why you think it's a great buy? It's your man Jay. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.